got all the cam sensors and actuators pulled, marked, and took the water pump pulley off and let the motor down in anticipation of taking the dampener bolt out. And pulled the oil drain plug, or when the cover comes loose, I'm sure the antifreeze is going to head down the oil pan. This dampener's really got a bite. That's supposed to go into that seal dry. I took the 3 bolts out of this evac pump and tied it back out of the way. Once I get in there with all the workings, I want to be able to get access to everything. I did have to take the 2 bolts, one at 6 o'clock and one at 12 o'clock, out of the power steering pump, and just kind of got a screwdriver in there and pushed it back to get clearance for this bolt and probably this one. I left the 3rd bolt, it's really hard to get at, behind the pump in there, so the pump just kind of hinge on it, and then get that bolt out of there. I've got the lower bolts out, the cover. All the side cover bolts are removed. Both valve covers lifted off there without any trouble. Start working on the side cover. This has a threaded hole to help facilitate breaking this loose. And make sure you got all the bolts out of the cover. Even there's one up underneath this back corner, just like this one in the front. I'm thinking that's about the size there. Go into this hole, threaded hole, hit the block and push on this cover. Well, so far it's been a pretty painless process to take this cover loose. So far. It sure does look like the tensioner is maxed out though. Guess it's just regular chain stretch. The front's not like that. Yes sir, that back chain is stretched out of whack. I don't see any broken guides. Doesn't look like the primary chain tensioner's out that far. That back one sure is. So that code P0008. No ring needs replaced. Everything in the motor looks like it can be repaired, so I took the timing chain set out and soaking it in a container of oil, the idler sprockets and chains. That'll help reduce the wear on startup. Some seals. I'm going to clean the block and the water pump cover up. It'll get all new seals in a timing cover. The engine's in the stage 1 timing chain setup for the this front bank, which is the left. That's the old chain. The lines I put on it is where the timing marks are for stage 1. That's stage 1. I couldn't necessarily put the idler sprockets in their stage 1 position, but the crankshaft is on stage 1 by a divot on the oil pump and a divot on the crank gear, and then there's another divot in the back. That's stage 2. This divot on the crank gear will line up with the oil pump, and then that'll leave a window in this idler sprocket to see the plated link for the chain on the front head. When the plated links are in line with that mark and the mark on this idler sprocket. What I don't have is cam holding tools. Just slip onto that slot and that slot, and essentially these slots are straight across in stage 1, and then the slots in the back are at 40, like they're angled. They're both angled straight, like both of them's angled just a little bit, but they're even. They're not quite straight up and down. They're both angled just a little bit toward the front. And then both of these slots are, I can tell the chain stretched a little bit. They're off just a little bit. It'll be easier to turn it over, take the spark plugs out of it. I'm going to lock the camshafts down and take all these chains and guides loose, tensioners, stuff some clean rags around the oil pan opening and get the rest of the silicone off. That back's kind of going to be hard to get at. I put the motor in what they call stage 1 position for timing. These marks made lines. on the actuator, camshaft actuators, are the timing marks. And then there's original stuff. This divot on the oil pump is their stage 1 timing mark for the crank. Then the idler sprockets. This window is to see the plated link on this chain, and it would be down here. On stage 1. And then stage 1, the hole in this one, which is back here, would be about right there to see the plated link, or it should be in line with this plated link there. There's 10 links between these marks. These marks, the plated links on them stand alone, 10 links between them, and 22 links between this plated link and the plated link down here on the idler sprocket, and 22 links between this back plated link and the plated link on this idler pulley. And there's 10 links between these timing marks. So I fastened the camshafts down with vice grips. Never had any trouble using them before. The back cam, looks like the front cam's going to stay put. The back cams could go either way, so I've got them wedged against here going this direction, and then to keep it from going that direction, I just wired it to a bolt. I actually made the eyelet and then fished the bolt down to it, so the further down the bolt goes, the tighter it pulls back on it. So none of the lobes are really on their fulcrum point, and that the fuel pump, high pressure pump lobes up. I could have done it in stage 2, but that puts that lobe around there, and I don't know. I'm gonna just do all the chains in stage 1, and then just use the stage 2 marks to verify that everything's in for this back head. But it will be. First thing I want to do is take this hydraulic tensioner loose on the left bank, which is the front. I placed another pair of vice grips on this cam just so that I can adjust a little bit of slack that happened in the chain. Got the tensioner off. The front one's triangular. You got to pay attention to the position on that gasket on the back of it too. Because the new one will come, you'll have to place the gasket on there the same way that this one is on there. The second thing I want to do is take this back hydraulic tensioner loose. And then take these guides loose. Then start working on the primary chain hydraulic tensioner and related guides. All the tensioners and guides are removed. Now the only thing I need to do is to put a puller on that crank sprocket and pull it off, and finish cleaning the silicone off of the block. Stuff some rags down the oil pan to keep the silicone from going down in there. I got the block prepped. All the silicone's off the sealing surfaces. I was real careful to keep silicone out of these cam actuator holes and the hydraulic tensioner holes. It wouldn't be good for a chain tensioner to get plugged up. The crank sprocket just slid right off there. You need a puller or nothing. It's pretty clean. I think it's time to put him back together.